welcome to this episode of the Coaching Circle. And today I'm going to be talking about one of the key elements that is required for moving forward and really creating results in your life and business, and that is confidence. Now, not the type of confidence that some people wait around to get struck down by lightning by, but the kind of confidence that you actively create, because this is something I know for sure. Confidence isn't something that you can sit around and wait to feel. It's not really even any of the techniques of the best modalities in the world that'll just magically make you feel more confident, not ongoing anyway. Confidence is something that you decide and then build through action. So this is what I want to talk to you about. Because so often I hear people that are in that confidence trap and they say, I just need more confidence. I just need to feel more confidence. But we have to understand that confidence does not land on you. It does not come by wishing. It does not come by hoping. You're not going to wake up one morning and suddenly feel ready and confident. You have different days when, of course, your confidence feels higher than others, but we have to understand that confidence is something that you create. And it's created through three things. And I love how Jay Shetty breaks this down. And the first thing is that to build confidence, you have to choose discomfort. Now, this might not be something you want to hear, but growth means that you have to build new neural pathways. Doing something new means you have to build new neural pathways, and that is rarely comfortable. It may be more comfortable when you attach pleasure to that process and you know that there is an outcome that you are really motivated to create that will make it easier for you to deal with that discomfort. But it's the discomfort you have to choose as part of creating confidence, right? Like, this is really important. You have to lean into discomfort. And then the second thing is that you have to keep promises to yourself. The thing that will kill your confidence more than anything is all of the little promises that you break, right? You have to keep the promises that you make to yourself. This is really key in building confidence. When you constantly put your results in the hands of something outside of yourself, you're breaking a promise to yourself. So, for example, if you say, oh, I'm going to record a video tomorrow, and then it gets to tomorrow and there's, noise at the time that you think that you want to create the video, or you're just not feeling it, or someone calls or something else happens and you don't do it, and you break that promise to yourself, you won't feel more confident from that, right? You're not going to get more confident from it. Confidence grows when you follow through, when you decide that you're going to do what you say you're going to do. And the third thing that is really important for confidence is that competence builds confidence. And you don't get more competent by sitting around waiting to feel confident. Right? You have to act first. So you decide that you're going to build your confidence, and so you lean into the discomfort. You keep the promises to yourself about what it is that you say. You do the things, so you act, and in the action, that's when you build competence, and competence creates confidence. So this is the basics of it, but I want to give you some real life examples so you can really think about this in action. Because for me personally, I was never a super confident person growing up. In fact, it's probably why I used to drink so much when I was younger, because I would get the false confidence from alcohol. But I can remember, if we go back to 2016, when I first started teaching NLP practitioner training. Now, 2016 was a very big year for me. I became a coach in 2015, but I first completed NLP practitioner training in February of 2016, and then in May I flew to Sydney for a couple of weeks and I became an NLP master practitioner. Then in the October I flew back to Sydney and I spent a month there becoming a trainer of NLP and hypnosis, and then I also became a trainer of timeline therapy and NLP coaching. That was in October of 2016. In December of 2016, I delivered my first 7-day NLP practitioner training. So I taught 4 certifications: NLP, timeline therapy, hypnosis, and NLP coaching. My very first training. Now, I can tell you, I did not feel confident about that at all. But what I did do was I had 2 people booked into that training to do that training with me before I even went to the NLP trainers training. Right? So before I even knew I was certified, I booked people in. I said, I'm running a training. This is when it's going to be. I booked people in. So I was committed, right? I was in action. And I did not feel super confident when I was first doing that first training. I was freaking out. In fact, I was up at, I think, like 4 o'clock every morning reviewing the content I was going to teach for the day and just like really trying to get these concepts in my mind, because one of the things that I truly believe is you can't teach what you don't understand. And this is why I love teaching so much, because I learn more by teaching. And when you're teaching, people ask questions and all those kinds of things, and you just learn and you just fire off, your own neural pathways in learning and understand how things go together much quicker. So it's something I do, but it's not necessarily easy or comfortable, but I leaned into it. I went ahead anyway. I kept the promise to myself, and I chose to step into that discomfort. I chose to step into that discomfort, and by doing that, I built competence. And not just competence in what I understood about the NLP that I was teaching, but I built competence in myself to be able to follow through and deliver something that I said I was going to do. And so then the next time I delivered that training, it was easier. And the next time it was easier and easier and easier. And each time my confidence grew. And not because I waited to feel ready, not because I could do some magical technique that would suddenly make me feel confident about it, but because I took action. I leant in discomfort. I did what I said I was going to do. I kept the promise to myself, and I kept doing the action and built competence. And of course, that then moved on. I then started teaching NLP Master Practitioner, which is a 2-week training. Again, the first time I taught NLP Master Practitioner training, I was freaking out and I did not feel like I was prepared, but I did it anyway. I chose to do it. And in that, I leaned into the discomfort. I kept my promise to myself and I built that confidence. And then I kept teaching that. And then in the end, I became an NLP master trainer, which is where I could teach other people, not just to be coaches and practitioners, but to train other people. And again, I went through all of the certification and assessments and everything to become an NLP trainer, which included teaching NLP to groups of 80 or 100 people globally, and to demonstrate techniques without even having a script to be able to do it off the top of my head. All of those kinds of things, I had to build the confidence for that. It wasn't just a natural thing for me. But I did it, and I did it really well at a really high level by building that confidence. And I can relate this to, other examples as well. If you've been listening to this podcast for a while, you may recall, I've probably shared this a couple of times, that I used to be absolutely petrified of public speaking. Like, I would have a physical reaction and I was so scared I would shake, and then I would think other people could see how scared I was, and that would make me even more uncomfortable, and it was horrible, right? It was a really uncomfortable thing for me. And however, again, I decided that that was something that I wanted to do. And so I became a trainer, which gave me skills of that public speaking as well. But I joined Toastmasters, and I started speaking at networking groups and presenting at conferences and things like that. But I had to lean into that discomfort. I had to follow through on what I said I was going to do and build the competence. Right? That's how I became confident in doing that. It's the same as when I first recorded a video back in 2015. I remember being in a group and it wasn't live video then. I don't think that was a thing that was around on social media, but we were recording videos and I had to do a 90-day video challenge. Well, I didn't have to. I chose to do a 90-day video challenge where every day I'd record a video and post it in this group it was a global group. There was people from all over the world in this group. And I did it. And I leaned into the discomfort. And I can tell you the first video I made, I remember being on the beach thinking I'm going to create this amazing video on the beach. And mind you, this is 10 years ago. So it wasn't normal to see people going around videoing themselves in those days. And so I remember being on the beach and I was petrified. And it took me so long to record this goddamn video because I had to make sure no one could watch me do it, because God knows what I thought people would think if they saw me videoing myself talking to a camera by myself at the beach. But I did it. And I did this 90-day video challenge, and I've since done other 90-day video challenges and 30-day video challenges. And now it's very, very easy for me to jump on camera and speak, right? Speak fluently, because I built the competence in it. I lent into the discomfort at the start. I kept the promises to myself by doing 30-day, 90-day challenges and showing up. And I built the competence, which then all added into that confidence. So this is the thing. I want you to know none of these things happen because I suddenly one day woke up and went, wow, I feel so confident about doing this. And this confidence has magically been bestowed on me. No, I became confident because I decided to do it and I created that confidence. And this is such an important thing that I really want you to know. If you ever somebody's feeling not confident about things, this is key. You can apply it to every area of your life. And I've seen this everywhere, especially spending so much time working in the personal development industry. And now, the last few years working closely with people with their business. And I remember when I was teaching NLP and I'm in the personal development field, some people would come into a training and they would learn a technique, they would have an experience, and then they would wait, hoping that somehow their reality is going to change by itself. And they would have a fantastic experience and go, oh, I like this, I can feel change. But then they would be waiting for something to happen. Whereas other people would take what they'd learned and they would put it into action immediately. They'd have an experience and they would keep moving forward. They would create with it. They wouldn't be waiting to feel something. They would be in charge of that and creating that. And they'd start seeing clients and getting results and all those kinds of things. And it is the same in business. Now, I work in business. I've got clients who are doing multiple 6 figures. I've got clients that are doing 8 figures, and startups and everything in between. And what happens in how people get to that space is that they're where they're at because they didn't wait for confidence, right? They acted, they created, they decided, they moved through the discomfort. And this is why I coach some of these people, because they've put themselves in massive discomfort. I've worked with some really fast growth businesses that make a lot of money and grow very fast. And I can tell you, they're not just sitting there going, oh, wow, I've got no discomfort in my life because now I'm making 7 figures or 8 figures. In fact, that's why they come and work with me, because I've worked with people that have had massive discomfort, like anxiety attacks that they thought was a heart attack, because of the discomfort that they would put themselves in. Now, I'm not suggesting your discomfort has to be that extreme. That is a lot. That comes from big change and big growth very, very fast. However, there is always going to be some discomfort. And that's what people will work through, and they'll manage that discomfort and they'll keep the promises to themselves and they'll act. And in that act, they build the competence, which then builds to their business building and building and building. And so they didn't wait for confidence. They didn't wait for the perfect things to happen. They didn't wait to be able to prove that everything was exactly how it needed to be so that they could be sure nothing would go wrong or they wouldn't look silly or anything else. No, they didn't. They moved, right? They moved, they decided. And so the other side of that is that sometimes I see people really struggling and they're waiting. They're waiting for things to feel right. They're telling themselves that there's some things that they have to put in place, that they have to have, all of this stuff sorted out before they can do anything. But waiting kills confidence, right? Waiting kills confidence. You do not have to have the perfect email funnel to get your next client. You do not have to have the perfect masterclass to get your next client. Right? You don't have to have anything perfect for you to get results. You will, in the action of doing that and deciding it, leading into the discomfort and keeping those promises to yourself, right, and building that competence, you will grow and evolve and you'll do those things, but you don't have to have all of that in place to start getting the results now. I'm a big fan of, in my business, I'm a big fan of sell it before you build it. And it's a very, very smart move because if I spent the amount of time that it would take me to build out a whole program before I sold it, I can guarantee you that it wouldn't necessarily be what was going to be the best program for the clients that are in there. Yes, I have an idea when I sell a program what it is, and I'm selling something that I know really well, and I've got a real clear idea of how that's going to work. But as people come in and I go, okay, proof of concept, this is what people want, and I know what that's going to be, and I see who these people are coming in, and I have an idea of who they are in their business, I can make sure that then what I'm creating in the detail is going to be right for those people. I pack myself, I move into it. I don't sit there and go, oh my God, what if I don't do this? I'm like, no, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to create this. I'm going to roll this out. I know I can back myself in that way. And that creates competence. That creates confidence in being able to create offers for people. Now, creating group programs might not be the first thing that you step into, but coaching someone through a 6-week package that you have, or a program that you've created for one-on-ones, or a one-on-one session, it's not going to take that much planning. Right? You're going to be able to do that with the resources that you have, because if you didn't have the resources to deliver that, you wouldn't have had a business already. So it's really important that we think about this. Now, I want to go a little bit deeper on this as well, because there's a quantum layer to this. And you'll notice I've been talking a bit more about quantum recently, and there's a good reason for that, because I've understood quantum principles for a very long time, and it's the way I think about reality. And when we understand what happens at a quantum level, which is just the science of energy, the science of the minute particles that we're all made up of, we know that things work and reality is created in a different way than just the fixed thoughts of how we think thing is, because reality isn't fixed, right? Reality is not fixed, and there are infinite possibilities for what you can create for yourself, and it's something that we have to know. And so when we think about creating confidence, and we think about this from a quantum perspective, you are creating the outcome, right? So often people don't step in and do things because they feel like that something external to them is actually in charge of their reality. And it's not. When we understand quantum, we understand that we are in charge of our reality, and that what we choose collapses the possibilities into the reality that we get to decide on and experience. And so confidence works the same way. It doesn't come first. You create it as you move into the reality that you want. And so when we think about reality, it's not like just going, oh, I'm waiting to see reality to be something that I can fit in with. No, you're deciding on reality. You're deciding on reality, and then you're moving into it, and that intention and your observation of it, and the way that the quantum field works is that you create that as you move forward. And look, there's so much I can talk about on this, but I'm going to go deeper into it in a masterclass that I'm running. If you're listening to this on the 7th of October, it's tonight at 7 p.m. Adelaide time. If you're listening to this after, still there'll be a link in the show notes that you'll be able to go and watch the recording. But if you can join me live tonight, do. And I'm going to go into this from a quantum level, and how do we use quantum principles to really shift results and create what we want a lot faster than what we otherwise think is possible. Okay, so for your takeaway today, this is what I want you to remember. Confidence isn't something that you wait for. It's something that you choose and you create and you build through action. Okay, confidence is not an identity. Confidence is not something that some people are just luckily bestowed with and others aren't. Some people learn how to create confidence for themselves at a much earlier age, right? That wasn't me. It took me till my adult years to learn how to create confidence, but it is a process that you can learn, that you lean into. And the key thing is, when we talk about discomfort, the only thing you need to know about discomfort that changes everything is you need to be able to trust yourself to deal with feeling discomfort. You have to trust yourself that when you feel discomfort, when you feel uncomfortable, that you'll still be okay. That feeling discomfort is not going to mean that something terrible is going to happen. You're not going to die from feeling discomfort. It's just discomfort. It's just a sensation in your body, and it's a sensation in your body that has a limited time frame. Right? It's got a very limited time frame because the fact is, discomfort is just linked to things that are unfamiliar. The more familiar you make things, the less uncomfortable they become. Right? Your nervous system gets adjusted to it. So you have to decide you're going to be okay with discomfort because it's something that you just move through. Right? You keep those promises to yourself. You take action. You build competence. And that's how you build confidence, right? And that's how you'll move forward in life and business, when you realize that confidence is something that you create. It's not something you're going to get struck down by lightning by. I'm thinking of a superhero, the confident superhero is just going to come in and zap you. No, that's a little bit random, but so the thing really is, you got to decide that you're going to keep your promises to yourself. Step into the discomfort of doing something and build the competence through action. Be prepared, practice, do the things, actually take the action. And that's how you'll get better. And that's how you move forward in life and business. And that's how you create the type of results that you want. And then you suddenly look around at your reality and go, wow, I am in a completely different reality than what I was last year, 5 years ago, 10 years ago. And this is something that I hear a lot from my clients, is that they just say, oh, wow, Toni, you know what? This happened and I did this. And I thought to myself, if this was a few years ago, I probably wouldn't have been able to do it. Like, I can see now how much I have grown. And this is why I've got clients that work with me year on year. A lot of the clients I've got have worked with me for 5 years or more, because we keep growing, we keep innovating, they keep growing and improving their life and their business. One of my clients was telling me just the other day, actually, he's like, Toni, because you really need to have a succession plan, because I'm probably going to be in business longer than you're going to be coaching, and I'm still going to need your support. So I want you to think about that. And this is the thing, right? Having that support in helping you move through these types of things makes all of the difference. So, as I said, I'm going to wrap this up, because otherwise I'll keep telling you more and more about this, and I will share more in the next episode. And I'll definitely be sharing more in the Quantum Code Masterclass. It's on Tuesday, the 7th of October, 7 p.m. Adelaide time. And I'll be sharing these quantum principles and how to really apply them to creating results in your business. And it's going to be a big game changer. It's not woo woo, it's not fluff, it's science combined with strategy. I'm very pragmatic in that way, and I'd love to see you there.